I know. I think we tried to reach out to him a couple times to ask him what it was with or stuff, but now we haven't talked to him so long. It's basically lost contact more or less.
Hi. How are you? I know you're doing 100 things, but can you tell me, because now I have to use David's phone because I don't have my phone today, the Cash App bag.
It's $sign UUCC. Then it's what is our is it called 441? You got to put the $sign for it. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Central product.
You seem to be having much trouble talking. If you're still speaking to me, I want you to write your name down here so I can call you and we can finally get together. They are so nice. I've never seen any like that. Now that was a true art. Is that 258? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'll be calling.
Okay.
You're still speaking to me.
Of course, we just talked. Remember, we were going to talk today to see if lunch at what was that steakhouse? We said we were going to go.
Yeah, we were going here. We said we were going to. My son is having surgery tomorrow morning. No, Tuesday morning. He's having rotator cuff. So a lot of what I do next week will depend on him. Yeah.
See you. That sounds good. Okay.
Leave it at this.
Welcome. This is the day we have been given. We did not ask for it. Perhaps we don't deserve it. It's a gift of light and autumnal warmth. May we use it wisely, offering friendship and compassion to those around us. Announcements. Bev Austin here. Maury or Pat Miller, do you have that announcement? While that's being taken care of, let me share a sorrow. Okay.
Good morning. Worship side of the equation, we are, doing our very best to meet our very, very complicated world by making sure that all of our time together is available in person when it can be, and then also streamed very well through, the wonders of technology. We try to make this as good of a thing as we can manage with an iPad, a laptop. We now have a line into our actual audio system, so we have much better sound than we've had before. The problem is we have one Sharon, and Sharon is a limited commodity. We are very appreciative when Sharon's available, but Sharon is not always available. So currently, on October 10th, we don't have a Sharon for that day. So if we as a community would like to have a live stream that day, we need some other people to come and help out to manage that part of our offerings. So this is a new and evolving part of our worship, but this is a good time to get involved, especially if you are tech savvy, tech interested, if you like media or production, if you're a photographer at heart, any of those things. Reach out, let us know. Sharon would love to speak with you and get you set up to help facilitate our live stream. I was asking before, or we were asking before, is Bev Austin here? Or wonderful, fantastic. Bev has an announcement this morning. Look at the side of my eyes. Here she is.
Good morning. I'm Bev Austin, and I'm a member of this congregation's Greater Cleveland Congregation's core team. This morning, I want to tell you about two important events that that we would like you to participate in. It's an opportunity to live out our third principle. The first is tomorrow evening, Monday, September 27th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. The ACLU Northeast Ohio Action Team is sponsoring a town hall on bail reform. Whether you have taken an adult RE class here on bail reform or not, this is a great opportunity for you and your family to become more informed about the current status of bail reform in Ohio and why it's important to all of us. Amazing speakers include Kareem Henton, founder of Black Lives Matter Cleveland, bail disruptor for the Bail Project. Elena Garrett Ferguson, esteemed local activist. Steve Holeko of Cuyahoga County Progressive Caucus. Professor Tim Black of Case Western Reserve University, and more. This event serves the purpose of amplifying the issue of cash bail, elevating lived experiences of those languishing in trial detention, forge a clear path for direct action items, supporting Senate Bill 182 and House Bill 313 in Ohio, and deepen the public's understanding of pretrial abolition and transformative justice concepts. After the service, go to the check-in table for a flyer to register or see any core team members. Look for the GCC yellow t-shirts. You want me to continue and read the second one? I mean, I feel like I'm taking up so much time. The second event is important GCC action on Thursday, October 7th. Cleveland Mayoral Candidates Forum will be held, and both of these events are on Zoom. Justin Bibb and Kevin Kelly, as you may know, asking each candidate about their willingness to commit to platform areas that GCC members have identified as important to the welfare and safety of our community. As we all know, power responds to power, and numbers of people represent power. The number attending this meeting matters. We have committed our congregation to having at least 25 people there attend this virtual event. This could be a great opportunity for your teenagers to see justice in action at the local level. And I think that's, oops. Please join us from the comfort of your home to express our community interest. Again, after service, go to the check-in table or any core team member with a yellow GCC t-shirt or me for information to sign up. This is a great way to spend part of a Thursday evening. Thank you. There you go.
Well, good morning. Welcome to UUCC's worship this morning. Today I'm calling the UUCC congregation into the principal's office, except no one's really in trouble. No one's getting detention. I have not called anyone's parents. What's really at issue is that we haven't been together in a good long while in the way that we are starting to be together. And as we are doing this, it's a good time to check in and see where we're all at. There are big things happening in the world of religious education, and it's all about us being better at being us as well as we can. Because religious education is a crucial and important part of being UU, and it should be a big part of what we gather in community to do. UUCC is a community that embodies our values about the dignity of all people, the importance of justice, equity, and peace. So if you are here with us today, you are part of UUCC. No matter who you are, no matter what you believe or who you love or how you live, that is a beautiful and precious thing. And so I welcome you, UUCC, to worship this morning.
Please read with me the chalice lighting. Please read with me the chalice lighting in the order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We will move on to joys and concerns, but first, there is a sorrow to share with everyone. Longtime member Lee Shirk passed away peacefully at home on Thursday morning, September 23rd. This news is shared with us by her husband, Gary, who took loving and daily care of her during the last few years as she was failing. Her life was so much the better for his care and the care by his son and daughter, Jack and Susan. Lee was a school psychologist, but her dissertation was a study of UU women and spirituality, including many First Unitarian women as interviewees. She was a dedicated member of the What's Next Covenant group and rarely missed a meeting until this past year. Her passion for life and lively and outgoing spirit will be missed. Through the caring services of Bush Funeral Home, Lee will be buried tomorrow at Lakewood Park Cemetery. And an announcement. Calling Pat's sister, Bonnie. A relative has rectal cancer. Wonderful care and thrive. Now, joys and concerns, when you may come up and put a pebble in the water, as you know, to celebrate the happies and the joys of the past week, to think on the sorrows and concerns that you lose sleep over. Think about determining what you can do and do it, and acknowledge that you may not be able to do more.
As always, we conclude with one final stone for those joys and concerns that go unmentioned this morning. Now, I invite all of you to stand up and as cautiously, graciously, and considerately as possible, greet your neighbor.
Tell me your name. I should know it, but I Sharon. Sharon.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores where spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land. Our faith is quest to understand. Touch the earth, reach the sky, children as the reasons why. In our lives the answers show, and by our love they learn and grow. Touch the earth, reach the sky, all are born and all shall die. Life's the time left in between to follow the star to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can live, for this is what it means to live. Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar in courage and abide. Spirits joining as we fly, touch the earth, reach the sky. Please be seated. I was thinking just the other day about back in March 2020, when things were getting real exciting here at UUCC. Our merger had been in progress for a little while and was evolving in really productive ways. I remember, things were just exciting in different areas. I was developing an idea for what I called Red Band Church, sort of a different way of gathering that was more true to our social selves. And it's now 18 months later. And we have a whole new world, a whole new set of issues, a whole new set of problems, except those new things, whether we always realize it or not, are getting mashed up with our old ones and our old issues. It's enough to want to sort of hit the snooze alarm and go back to sleep for a little while. Now, it never implied that any of these issues that the COVID pandemic has raised are somehow welcome or convenient in any way. Don't get me wrong. But you know how it's really hard to get up the motivation to deep clean your kitchen floor. So you keep putting it off. You're like, some other day, I know I need to do it. It's going to happen, but just not right now. But then imagine, say, you cook 3 gallons of chili and then you spill it all over your kitchen. At that point, you will end up scrubbing your kitchen floor. And I'm not saying that you're happy you dropped the chili, but you aren't sad that your floors have been scrubbed. That might be a terrible analogy for COVID-19, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Because in our case, we had some floors that needed to be scrubbed and some new things on the horizon that we needed to address. And COVID has forced us in some ways to confront some of these issues in ways that we were trying to figure out ways to approach in years past. Now, it's worth noting some of these challenges are things that we've talked about for a long time. things that affect everyone, not just UUs, not just our congregation, not just even our part of the world. These include things like, how many people live in or have moved to Cleveland in the past 10 years? Questions like, how many people are used to attending traditional religious communities, or even things like how much time our youth and young adults have to spend doing extracurricular activities. Those are all things that we have very little control over, and all we can do is understand and respond. But there are dynamics that we can address and changes that we need to make. And these things are things that we actually can work and respond to. And some of these are the things that we've been actually dealing with here at UCC and talking about for years, going well before COVID, even actually so long ago as when I arrived here at UCC. A good example of one of those problems has been the relationship between religious education and worship, and how we do those two things together in such a way that it helps us to foster that thing that we always refer to as beloved community. It's a long-standing issue because we've all actually, whether we realize it or not, inherited some ideas about this that have had actually some unintended consequences in our actual community and in our experience. The inherited wisdom, the old way of thinking, is that RE is for young people, and that youth should do that work of learning out of the view of adults, and that adults should spend their time in worship and in a time that is only meant for adults. That's the model that sort of persisted for some time. And the result of that is actually kind of stunning. And this is exactly one of these issues that we are now in a position to really try to address, because it turns out that Unitarian Universalists, if you have not heard this before, I tend to talk about this a lot, but if you've not heard this before, Unitarian Universalists have the lowest retention of people among any major religious organization in America. In fact, if you grow up in a UU congregation, there is a less than 9% chance you will be a practicing UU adult. And when you think about that inherited wisdom I just described, it makes sense, because if you spend all of your time outside of the worshiping community of people, then when you're an adult, you have no experience there. You have no relationship to that work, to doing those things. The other side of the equation, and we've definitely been working on this in very intentional ways, is that we worked very hard to make RE available to all of us. In other words, that we break out of the mold of thinking that RE is something for youth or young adults or young people. Learning and exploring and growing is a lifelong process, and it's at the center of UU values. And if you ask me, if you're trying to navigate this world as a thoughtful Unitarian Universalist, and you are not plugged into that work of learning and growing, you're trying to drive up a mountain in first gear. The work of educating ourselves never ends, and it's not something that is only subject to our youth. So imagine with me for a moment, if you will. Imagine a different version of this whole thing that we do. One that honors all of us, and especially honors who we can be if we are all of us together. Imagine what it's like if we accept the fact that for most of us, Sunday morning is the best time to feed our minds and our spirits and to be together. Imagine that we planned that time, that it offered rich opportunities for everyone to explore and grow. And then suppose that we gathered for worship that was also truly for everyone. Worship that included parts that were sometimes more fun and more playful, other parts that were more serious and sacred, and many, many other parts that were musical and participatory. And imagine what it would be like to be okay with occasionally being a little bored, or with being patient sitting next to somebody who is maybe on their phone or occupied with other activities, because at the root of it, our time in worship is the time that we create community out of individuals and families. It's when we become something greater than the sum of our parts. And when we model for the world a way of knowing and being with one another founded in this kind of mutual care, this respect for innate dignity, and the belief that difference and diversity is a strength to be embraced and not a barrier to overcome, that is when we embody the deepest intentions of ourselves. The vision that we've been thinking about and working toward. And this is a year we're making some of the big strides to make that possible, which is why there are some changes you may have heard of or maybe haven't. So bear with me a little bit as I lay out what Sunday mornings are going to start looking like here in the fall of 2021. First off, we will be gathering for RE at 9:30 a.m. I know, 9:30 feels like a big ask. What I can promise you is this. At 9:30, the sun is out, stores are open, traffic lights still work. 9:30 exists. To be frank and to be very explanatory about it, the simple fact is we worship at 11 a.m. We can't go later. That's we're as late as we can go. The time we have is earlier. But the other part of this is that RE is going to be programmed from 9:30 to 10:30 for all of us. All right. For now, ARE is going to be on Zoom, but we've been approved to hold our YRE classes in person starting when classes begin in a few weeks. We're also going to be finding some new ways to engage parents who are just going to be around and maybe need some ways to spend that time in friendly community while their kids are in other classes. But the idea is that eventually, as that COVID landscape changes, we'll have an active and dynamic morning with formal classes, as long as informal ones. There'll be choir, there'll be forums, there's going to be other events. This means that we have this full hour for breakfasts, for occasional meetings, for other things. And it also means that we'll be prioritizing childcare in a big way so that parents and grandparents can be students and can be YRE teachers and choir members and forum attendees. Okay, third, worship will begin at 11, 9:30 to 10:30. Spacer there for bio breaks and the important stuff that you have to do before you sit down for worship. And that is going to be oriented to all ages, which will mean some changes to how we do some things. Engaged participation is going to be emphasized. Music, as always, will be very important. It also means, I know this, sometimes you may be bored. It may mean that sometimes, again, you're sitting next to someone who's bored, and that is okay, because boredom is not an evil. In fact, sometimes it's a good thing. It means that we are going to be in a place where we can actually, with one another, explore the spiritualities that are available to us in a way that's generous with one another, where we're aware of others' struggles and others' needs, which is just going to mean that your version of worship might not be someone else's version of worship, and not only is that okay, that's how it's supposed to be. I cannot stress this enough. This new approach to Sunday morning is not a solution. It's not a guarantee. It is not anything that doesn't require our work and intention moving forward. It is a move. It is a shift. It's an intention to bring a vision of community to life here for us, where we can foster in classrooms and in forums and in our worship together the ways of being that we do really care most about. So I have to say, if hearing this scares you, or if it feels like just a lot of change, I hope you know that's okay. That's what it feels like to build a new way. If hearing this excites you, I hope you know how much we need your help and support. And no matter where you fall between scared and excited, know that we need you. Because beloved community happens when we all come together as a people to do this work that our God have called us to do. So with that, I sort of welcome you to religious education at UCC.
It's September 21. It's a long, long time since January 2020. As we have returned to our schools, to our offices, to libraries and clinics, we have had to bring with us courage and care. We have had to steel ourselves with masks and hand sanitizer. We have had to stand apart from our friends and take care about ventilation. Even as we confront these new challenges, let us give thanks for the familiar, reliable things that have come along with us, and honor the blessings that come from being able to meet our new world with tools that we often take for granted. So let us give thanks for our backpacks, briefcases, totes, and book bags, whether they are well worn or brand new, for helping us carry our loads throughout the weeks. Let us give thanks for lunch bags, ice packs, and travel coffee mugs, for making sure we carry with us nourishment and comfort into our days far from home. Let us give thanks for the pens that never seem to run out of ink, and for pencils with fun, colorful erasers that allow us to take note of our thoughts and jot our mistakes. Let us give thanks for laptop computers and smartphones and pedometers that bring intelligence to our most basic needs so that we can confront a challenging world. Let us give thanks for new shoelaces and replacement straps and new batteries and all the things that allow old things to seem new again, and for reminding us that what is battered and broken is not fated to be cast aside. Let us give thanks for the welcome sight of our front doors, who stand guard with a perfect faithfulness, lending their strength to keep our homes safe while we are gone, but who gently give way to us when we trudge through them at the end of our day to find rest and comfort so that we can prepare for another day. Let us give thanks for all of these forgettable and essential things that accompany us, like inanimate quest mates who lend their skills and abilities to us and allow us to be about the work of bringing justice and peace and love and care into a world in desperate need.
figure out if I should hold this or keep it in the thing. All right, I'm going to hold it. Hi, my name is Amy Schwaber, and I am the spirit play teacher, which means I teach Sunday school to the kids who are in kindergarten to third grade. And we do spirit play, which is I tell stories using toys. It's a lot of fun. And then the kids have an opportunity to play with the toys and retell the stories or make up their own stories with the toys. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself this morning. I grew up very, very Catholic, which I'm sure some other people here did as well. And I went to 12 years of Catholic school. And my mother makes a joke every time I walk into the Catholic church now, and she says, "Did you get struck by lightning?" And luckily I don't. But yeah, so growing up Catholic, the things I really connected to were social justice to Beaumont. And that was cool because it's all about the education of women and cool and social justice-y. But to the